comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostic alongside Scarlett Fu. We're counting you down to the closing bell, and here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast, joined now by royalty. Carol Massar and her subject, Tim Stenovich, bringing together our Bloomberg audiences across television, radio.
I was just going to say, he's the court jester, actually.
Oh, okay. Are you moving up in the world?
Did you ever see him juggle balls? Good at it.
Oh, yeah.
He juggles a lot of things. All right, the market's also juggling a lot of things. Definitely seeing, though, a bit of a break, it feels like. Equity to the upside. Did you like what I did there?
Yeah, she's the queen of transitions, truly. No question.
Segue queen. Having said
That's what
that,
I'm laughing at.
yeah. Oh wait, are you laughing at?
No.
Are you laughing at me?
No.
Are you? Okay.
Never.
All right. I'm looking at solar stocks, guys. Have you looked at the Invesco Solar ETF? It's up about 6% in today's session. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the names on the move, but France announcing plans to boost solar power capacity in the country, and so it looks like that sector is certainly getting a boost in today's trade.
Hey, we just had a great chat with Doug Sioka. We check in with him quite a bit over at Kavar Capital Partners. He talked to us about being on Team Soft Landing these days.
Really?
Yeah, he spoke about stable or accelerating growth here in the U.S. The consumer is still spending, even though the consumer has lost some of that leverage when it comes to, looking for jobs and lost the upper hand to companies that are doing the hiring right now. Household net worth is solid. He's thinking things are looking pretty good.
He loves that GDP now number for the fourth quarter.
I mean, everyone loves that GDP now at the Atlanta Feds, yeah.
I wonder if we could, there's a team no landing at this point because the data has continued to exceed expectations.
Yeah. Okay, let's walk through the numbers here.
You left him speechless, Scarlett.
On this Tuesday afternoon here. Green across the screen here with the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, all up for a third straight day here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average higher by more than 100 points, or about 0.4%. The S&P 500 going to close higher by more than 20 points, or 0.5%. A 0.6% gain for the NASDAQ Composite. And your outperformer on the day, actually, the Russell 2000 putting together a fifth straight day of gains right now, 1.1% here on the day.
All right, digging a little bit deeper into the S&P 500, as I like to do. 384 names, Scarlett, to the upside. 117 losing ground today, and then 2 unchanged.
And that's kind of mirrored in the sector breakdown in the S&P 500 as well. 24 groups, 20 of them are in the green, led by autos, banks, and utilities. Of course, banks will be reporting earnings at the end of the week. And then on the flip side, you've got tech hardware, insurance, and software. So some of the big tech names, at least nominally in the red, in that the sectors are not positive today.
All right, so let's get to some of the individual gainers. Who does not like Fritos?
I don't, but go ahead.
Oh, you're the only one.
Wow, how could you not like Fritos?
Fritos? No, God.
They're
all right,
good.
they're really
He
good.
likes other
on
snacks.
the tier of snacks, that's literally like towards the bottom.
All right, we got to
It's
work
like
on you.
it's like Fritos and those Necco wafers.
Oh my gosh, Fritos are so good.
I
All
agree
right.
with you about those wafers.
Well, the maker of Fritos and Doritos and Tostitos is up about 1.9.
Tostitos, I can go for it.
I'm glad to know you like something in their array of products, if you will. Up 1.9% in today's session. The company coming out and boosting their forecast for sales. And they said basically, right, we've heard from Walmart, we've heard from the maker of Pringles saying, those weight loss drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, well, that's impacting what they're seeing people buying in terms of snacks and other things, maybe pulling back a little bit. PepsiCo saying, ain't happening. It hasn't affected any of its snacks and sodas so far. Company is focused on package size and consumers' portion control concerns as it aims to reach its raised annual forecast. So,
Portion control.
yeah.
I'm curious.
What?
We were talking a little bit earlier about what the snack community has to say about this here. And I'm curious. It's not just about portion control. If these drugs are going to be mass adopted, as most people seem to think they are, this isn't just about eating less. It's also about people going to be opting to eat things or not eat things that are bad for you, and meaning with a lot of sugar and other starches and things.
Well, there are some who would argue, and there's lots of conversations, that maybe if we just made food healthier to begin with, we wouldn't need to take drugs and all this good stuff.
I think Mother Nature's on the phone. I think she said, I've been making food healthier for you guys for since
That's
the
right. She
beginning
said,
of time.
I've been doing it. I've been doing
You just
it.
have to, pick an apple and, a carrot.
Yeah,
something else?
yeah, or free.
It's just
Okay.
Or
Are you ready to move on?
Wait, yeah, I have a related stock, Celsius Holdings,
have
if I
more?
may. Yes, if you didn't interrupt me, I'd be done. Celsius Holdings up 5.3% in today's session. It's a distribution partner for PepsiCo, which of course reported better than expected third quarter results. So anyway, this one also gained, it's about a $13 billion market cap. If you're not familiar, it's up 60% year to date, but also 25% of the float is shorted. So just something to keep in mind. Enphase, I mentioned solar stocks are rallying. France seems to be upping its goals in terms of solar power capacity. So you had Enphase, top of the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100. You can see up 5% in today's session. First Solar also rallying in today's trade. And then I just want to quickly mention Rivian, if I may. UBS upgrading the company, obviously an EV startup, upgrading to buy from neutral, citing an improved setup following recent capital raise. And that one was up 4.6%. So some big gainers today, Tim.
All right, a couple notable decliners as well. Defense stocks giving up some of yesterday's gains, starting with L3 Harris Technologies down 1.46% today. It was up yesterday by more than 10%, giving up some of those gains. Citi did come out with a note today that said even though after yesterday's rally, defense stocks are still attractive. Northrop Grumman finished the day down by 1.4%. Also, luxury showed sales slowed in the third quarter, sort of signaling this pullback on consumer spending, at least on high-priced goods. Tapestry finished the day down by 1.9%.
You know what was so interesting about that report, though? I mean, because you're still seeing growth in the actual goods. I mean, like, the purses and that kind of stuff, the clothing. But I thought it was interesting that the biggest drop was actually in, like, the, champagne and spirits business.
So what does that say about what
I don't know.
what we're spending our money on?
I know, and we've had a lot of people on this program that have talked about that. Those are some of the first things to be cut here when consumers start to get a little worried about their finances here. Maybe they'll still splurge on a purse or something, around Christmas or something. But as far as going out every day and drinking, Moet or whatever else they make,
They may be trading down to Modelo beer. Remember?
That could make sense.
What's Carol drinking now?
That's not a consumer staple?
Wow.
Some people define it as one.
I kid.
What about Ralph Lauren, though? That was another company that ended up falling on the news today from LVMH, down 1.74%. So perhaps some concerns about consumer spending in that space.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
At high end, I thought we kept saying that luxury stocks were somewhat immune.
Well, how does that bode for Birkenstock's IPO and the pricing of the IPO later on today?
Are those high end?
$100 sandals? Would you consider that high end?
I didn't know.
I
always think of them as.
Well, I mean, I
always
guess
think of them
it's
as
all relative.
biblical. I don't know.
Scarlett, if you're walking around in $2 flip flops from the Jersey Shore, then yeah, I mean, $100 sandals are.
Crocs aren't $100.
Well, I think Scarlett, I think you bring up a good point that it speaks more broadly to the retail environment. Like, are you still comfortable to bring a retail good, if you will, right, that plays into this world, into the public markets, and so.
Well, I think so. If it's a brand like Birkenstock, right? I mean, that's not just any brand coming in. I mean, it has the brand name, it has the sales, and of course, this year it's been in the zeitgeist for a variety of reasons.
And Romaine wears them with socks around the newsroom.
Only took 260 years for this company to go public.
Well, there you have it there. Stability, Tim Senator. We're not seeing stability in the Treasury market here. Remember, we were closed. The bond market was closed yesterday for the holiday here in the U.S.
Not a great 3-year auction today either, right?
Tuesday, no, the auction did not do well. Look, I mean, the narrative is very simple. That overall, this is a market that wants higher yields. Now, you're seeing the yields move down today. Some of that had to do with some of the dovish comments that you got out of Fed members. Some of that, of course, had to do with the Haven bid because of the Israeli-Hamas war going on right now. So you're seeing the entire curve shift down here. But I think when you look at some of the comments by Neil Kashkari just a little while ago here, I think most people assume that the trend is still to the upside, at least until the Fed maybe gives some clarity that not only are they done, but more importantly, the Treasury gives some clarity that it doesn't need to keep issuing all this debt.
I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, given what they forecasted. Yeah. That supply will continue to come out.
And then we'll see whether or not there are buyers. It's just a tricky time. I'm curious to see if, we get a speaker and we get some growth, and do we kind of move beyond worrying about the U.S. budget again, or the U.S. budget deficit? I'm always amazed at how it's front and center and then it isn't. And many would argue that at some point we've really got to kind of deal with this issue.
Look, on the nearer term, on the shorter term, Romaine, we get minutes from the Fed. We get inflation data this week. We get how consumers are feeling later this week.
Yeah.
But I'm probably most excited for hearing from the big banks the start of earnings season because
Oh.
we get to check on the consumer.
Well, and check on the consumer, and don't forget, I mean, this isn't going to be an issue with the biggest banks, but with some of those regional banks, you forget. Think about the surge in yields we saw
Yeah.
during the quarter and how that took them off guard at the end of last year and in the first quarter. Now, hopefully, they learned their lesson from that crisis, but it still makes you wonder here whether they're sitting on some paper losses.
Ira Jersey gave us a fantastic anecdote earlier. He said his depositor bank is raising rates from basically 0 to 4%.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not just him. I could share it with you. I mean, it was earlier this year. I mean, I was getting less than 0.5%. Right now, in that same account, I'm getting 4.4 or something around that name. So in just like 6 months' time,
Wow.
they've gone up 4 percentage points.
So do you wear Birkenstocks with socks? We all want to know.
I just wear the socks, no Birkenstocks.
To be continued. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Tim and I are heading out west, so we
What?
yeah,
Sorry, we're gonna miss you.
we've got some meetings with Hollywood folks. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, okay.
We'll bring you some Tostitos.
Well, have fun out
They're
there.
branching out across platforms.
Yeah, you
That's
can
the
get
case.
real tortilla chips out there in Los Angeles.
We will bring some back, maybe an In-N-Out burger too. But we'll be back with you. Jess Menton and Molly
I'm
Smith
more
are
of a
going to be
fat
here with
burger
you.
kind of guy, but sentiment.
I can never win, never win.
Never win.
We'll see you on Monday, but we'll catch you.
Safe travels.